Stop contributing to your retirement accounts. What? I'm telling you, man, your retirement accounts are the freaking albatross around your neck. Now, let me be very clear. If you're getting a match in your 401k, you certainly want to take advantage of that. The vast majority of us should not be doing the pre-tax account, though. You should be doing the post-tax if you can, i.e. a Roth. Hopefully, they'll allow you to have a Roth. So if you have a 401k, a TSP, something like that, where they give you a match, you got to take advantage of that. I mean, that's 101. The problem that you're going to find if you continue on the path of contributing to your pre-tax accounts is what I'm dealing with now. I'm 50 years old, all right? For every $100,000 I have in a pre-tax account, it's going to cost me 35% to pull it out. Because a 10% penalty, we'll just say 20% to the Uncle Sam, and 5% to the state of Georgia. Probably more than that. So as I sit here today, as a 50-year-old man, my better half is 47, I got 10 years before I have access to my money penalty-free. But even then, I'm still going to have access to it only with paying taxes on it. So my retirement accounts put me in this box. I'm like, man, I got to have that access to the money for whatever. And I don't even want access to the money for whatever. I don't want to buy it on freaking lighting cigars and $100 bills. But what if an opportunity comes up outside of a good old-fashioned IRA? Like a real estate opportunity, investment into a small business. What if you get laid off, dudes, and you need to have access to your funds? What if YouTube shuts down your channel? What if? If you don't have money outside of that account, if you look at 72T rules, you might not be subject. I mean, you still probably be subject to a 10% penalty. Because it's not for being laid off necessarily. It's certainly for disability, death, yeah. Separately equal periodic payments, yeah. But even that isn't going to give you a shot. That's over the course of, you have to take it for 5 years or until you're 59 and a half, whichever is longer. And there are some pretty strict IRS rules in that regard. Hindsight, and I also want to talk about too, I think a lot of people overlook this. All right, so you're making money. Let's just say for simplicity, you're making $100,000 a year. You already know you got taxes. You already got FICA. You already got this. You already got that. You already know you have taxes to pay. So you're not all of that. You're not like, oh my goodness, I got taxes. You're just like, it's just the cost of doing business. But you got income coming in. And as long as your job, isn't about to let you go and send your job to India or something like that, you're pretty comfortable that your job is going to still be there. Now, it might not be, but you're relatively comfortable that you're not going to get laid off. All right, well, then you fast forward. So what happens is you have the ability from a emotional perspective to pay those taxes that you're paying without really blinking an eye about it. Yeah, it's like a mosquito bite. It stinks. You don't like it. It itches, but it's not going to freaking sink you, man. It's just not. You know what does sink you, though, is when you hit retirement, you got no other income coming in. Now you're 62 years old. And I'm like, man, defer taking Social Security. And you're like, but I need income. I need $100,000 to live on. I got to pull $125,000 from my portfolio to live off $100,000. Awful hard to do that when there's no other guaranteed income. And if you only got, let's say, $600,000, and $600,000 is a lot of money. I don't want to say only, as if you don't have that, you're screwed. You're not. But man, I'm telling you, from an emotional perspective, it is so much harder to pay the taxes, even if they're lower, when you don't have a guaranteed income coming in. I say guaranteed, considering that your job isn't really guaranteed, but it kind of is, if you know what I'm talking about. There is something emotional that retirement planning overlooks about the need to withdraw money to pay the bills and watch an account decline relative to a need to pay the taxes while you have income coming in and you're still plugging money away into a retirement account. There is something dramatically emotional that changes once you have to draw off your portfolio. It'll never be solved, and no one will ever convince you to say, hey, Stop being so emotional about this. Stop being inefficient. And that's why annuities will never take off. Because people say, I get it, it provides a guaranteed income stream, which I can't outlive, but what if I need a big, something happens, and I don't know what it is. What if, and I don't have that money there? You see what I'm saying? You're like, annuities are efficient. You should do annuities. Everyone knows that, economists. You're like, yeah, but if I put, let's just say $100,000 into annuity, I get $600 a month, or $500 a month. That's great, but what if I need $40,000? I got to buy a new car. I got to put a roof on the house. You see, it's an emotional construct, and there's no right or wrong here. And the economists and freaking behavioral finance say it's inefficient not to do annuities. Well, they can kiss my big fat behind. From an efficiency perspective, they're right, but from an emotional perspective, they're completely wrong. And the same thing happens in retirement. You got $100,000. Like, man, I don't. For every $100,000 I got to take out, it's going to cost you $125,000 because I got to pay $25,000 of taxes. And if you pay more tax today, you get that monkey off your back now. I'm just sitting there now at 50 years old, and I'm before 59 and a half. I still got to do a 10% penalty. I'm like, well, what if I sit there today. I'm like, I don't like this. Where with this society, I just can't. Look, I'm not a doomsday. I'm just like, I try to, I'm like my man Simon over at Uneducated Economist. I try to think about the shoes that could drop. And I don't want to be a negative. No, look, I got 4 kids, man. It can't be too negative if you got 4 kids. But I'm sitting there thinking, what are the shoes to drop that we're not foreseeing? I don't know. And it scares me because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so the bread and circuses will keep the rabble-rousers at bay. Can the bread and circuses go on for another 10 years? I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But what if they don't? What if they can't go on for 2 years? I'm sitting there we'll just say, for every $100,000 at my 401k, I don't have access to it without significant taxes, significant penalties. So let's just say it grew to $130,000 in 2 years, then the bread and circuses is over. Now I'm back at $100,000. And I need that money because, all my income's gone. So now I got to pull my $100,000 out to pay for $100,000 of living. But I need $135,000 to pay for $100,000 of living because I'm before 59 and a half. And I got to pay the income taxes too. I'm starting to think the best thing you can possibly do in your retirement is get one of the biggest expenses, your income tax, behind you. It's not even an expense so much. It's just the negativity. No, not negative. The emotional constraint that comes with having to pay those taxes. And I shared this story. I'll never forget a lady, Shirley, up in New Jersey. I liked her, and she might be gone now, but nice lady. She looked bright as could be. She's like in her mid-80s, but she had this condo in New Jersey, and it was friggin' property tax on that puppy like $10,000 a year, and she was running out of money, man. Like, because her taxes, she had everything in deferred accounts. I will never forget this. And it sucked. Everything was in deferred accounts. And for her every time she had to pay money to pay the condo, the association fee and the property tax, she had to pull money from her IRAs. But it wasn't just like $10,000, basically it's $15,000 all said and done. I'm just using that for example. It cost her $20,000 every time to pull $15,000 out because of the income taxes. It's horrible. And then she still needed, I remember she needed like $88,000 a year to live on top of her property. She needed about $100,000 a year to live on. It cost her $130,000 a year for that. And she had no money other than her IRA. And I'm just sitting there thinking, she's put up against the wall. And if you're young and you kind of get that bear off your back initially, you can say, okay, now I don't have to worry about the tax man going forward. So if an opportunity comes up, I can get into it. But even that, I can say, look, that is behind me. So for every $100,000 I have in a non-401k account, it might cost you a little bit of capital gains, but that's it. And then of course, if I do specific identification, whatnot, it just changes the whole dynamics. So all right, so I get this question all the time, but Josh, if I work with individual clients, and I said, look, man, like some guys I've talked to, they're in a 30% tax bracket, the state and feds. And once they retire, they're only giving it 12%. It's hard for me to say don't take advantage of your deferred accounts because that's a pretty significant differential. But the vast majority of us are not in that tax bracket. The vast majority of us are in 12 to 22% tax bracket right now. So we're getting a 12 to 22% deduction on our taxes, and we got to still pay FICA. So you're still in a higher tax bracket than you're probably going to be in the future. But at the end of the day, it's not the tax bracket; it's the emotional box that we're in, the behavioral construct of saying, for every $100,000 I pull out, it's going to cost me $12,000, $15,000 a year. That's straight to my portfolio. That just adds a burden that I'd rather have put in the past while I was making money. Because once you're retired, it's going to be hard to just, like, Shirley's like, she's got to get more income. Well, how does she get more income? And she had a good amount, not $1 million, but, close to $1 million. But how does she get more income? She can't go dig ditches, man. Anyway, so again, I say this generally speaking. Everyone's situation is unique, but man, pay the tax man now and move on. All right, love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.